Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah and this is Sarah's Rhythm. Well, today we are going to discuss Ariana Grande's deluxe version of Eternal Sunshine, Brighter Days Ahead. Now, one thing that I immediately noticed about this project is that one side of it seems to have a dance vibe to it. The other side, it's like there's a middle side that has like a trap side to it. And for those that remember Thank You Next, we're very familiar with that side of Ariana Grande. She used to do trap really well with Thank You Next and Sweetener. That era, well, especially Thank You Next. Thank You Next was her trap era. And trap was very popular, in 2019, 2018, 2017. That era alone, trap was was really big, but she sort of went back to a place that we are familiar with. And I like Dandelion. Dandelion is the one. That is actually that's my favorite from the album. And it continues the theme of Eternal Sunshine, getting over a previous relationship and finding happiness in a new one. It sort of continues that. And I really like the direction that she went with it. And Twilight and Warm, they give dance and ballroom vibes. Now, she's done this before with Be Alright from Dangerous Woman, but she's sort of doing it here. It seems like it's a mix between that and Breathin' from Sweetener. And I like how she put them both together. I don't know if that's what she intended to do. It might not be, but it sounds very familiar. It sounds very familiar. And she had some songs on Eternal Sunshine that sound like this too. But both of those sound really familiar. And then with the next track, Dandelion, that one sounds like Thank You Next. That one sounds like Thank You Next. And I like how it begins with the horns. And like it starts off with the jazz horns, and then you think, wow, what do we have here? And then the trap beat comes in. So that sort of brings us back to Thank You Next, Ariana. R&B Ariana and Trappiana. And I love it because I love when Ariana Grande does R&B. Personally, I love when she does R&B. Now, some people don't want to consider what she did back then R&B, but it is R&B. And just because she's a non-black artist, she's not white because she's Italian, but it's like just because she's a non-black artist, it doesn't mean that she wasn't doing R&B, because she was doing R&B. And her R&B tracks are my favorites. And Thank You Next definitely gave us that trap sound that was very popular in 2019, 2018, 2017. That era, the late 2010s. And I love it. I love that Trappiana is back. And then the short film for Brighter Days Ahead also includes a performance from Ariana with Dandelion on it. And she has on the blinged out outfit with all the bling jewelry. She has her hair in that top ponytail. She has an edge to her look. She brought us back. That sort of confirms that the trap era Ariana Grande is what she was trying to do. And I like that. But if you haven't seen the short film for Brighter Days Ahead, hey, drop everything and go watch it, but after this video. And she played an older woman in the film, and she was sort of revisiting all of her previous memories, or previous happy memories. Now, I don't think she survived at the end, but she did go back and review some of her previous memories. And I'm not going to give everything away. I just want you to go and check it out. But it's it's a really moving short film for the deluxe version. But it seems like with it, she was giving us all of the Ariana Grande eras that we're familiar with and that we love. Dangerous Woman, Sweetener, and Thank You Next. That's what this album sounds like. And I think that Dangerous Woman is a very underrated era of Ariana Grande's. Like, I don't know about you, but I think it's underrated because compared to Sweetener and Thank You Next, they always put that one behind it. And they forget how good that was. But she was sort of, it reminds me a little bit of what Taylor Swift did with Midnights, where she was putting like all the previous sounds that you know of Ariana Grande and you love, or know of Taylor Swift and you love. But this time Ariana Grande was doing it with Brighter Days Ahead. That's just my opinion. But yeah, back to Dandelion. I love the production. I love the horns on it. And I love how at the end, she has a part where she brings the horns back, but with a beat. Dun, 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 dun. I love it. Great production on that one. And also the next one, Past Life. I love the symphony and orchestra vibe that she has with that one. And I love how dramatic she is with her vocal performance. Rhythms of the night consume my body. Let the music confiscate my soul. You think I'm lost, but that's just how you found me. Well, maybe I'm the stranger after all. That's my favorite part of the song. I call that the climax. That's the climax and then the rush. Something that I have talked about on my channel before with some pop music. The climax, when you have a climax and a rush, that's traditional pop. That is traditional pop. And on Hampstead, she's addressing the haters. I think Hampstead is the part 2 to Yes and. I would call it that because she's sort of getting into the Ethan Slater situation again. And she's saying that you don't know the true story. You don't know everything that went on when I was in Hampstead filming Wicked. And when I was working with Ethan Slater and when I fell for him, you don't know the full story. That's what she's getting into here. And it's no one's business. It's no one's business. Those are things that happen behind closed doors. You know, just because you're a fan of a celebrity, that doesn't mean that you know that celebrity. You don't know the full story of what happened. Yeah, it was a situation where, you know, he was married and whatever. But but that's her business. And she's still learning as she's going along. She's making mistakes and she's learning from them. The story is not done. It's still being written. You shouldn't be so quick to judge. And the media was all over it. They called her a home wrecker. They said she was not a girl's girl. They made a lot of fun of it. They made fun of it a lot. And they put her down for it. They sort of found the worst in it. And, you know, they don't know the good that happened behind closed doors. You know, there were probably some positive moments with him that you just don't know. But, you know, being in the public eye, you know, you're sort of going through the seasons. She's still young. So, you know, she's going through the seasons and all that in front of the world. And that could be difficult because everybody makes mistakes. And when you're young, you go through that. You have that period to where you're sort of figuring out, who you are. You're figuring out what, where you're going to be and how things are going to be, who you're going to date, who you like, who you don't like. You sort of figure all that out. So she made the mistake. That's it. Really like the deluxe. She did a really good job with it. I think that the songs are just as good as Eternal Sunshine. Eternal Sunshine is such a great project. It's a project that the Grammys really didn't ignore it, but they sort of did, because they didn't give it the album of the year. They didn't put it in the album of the year category, and it definitely deserved that. But I guess because Ariana didn't give, she didn't make as much noise with it, I guess. But I think the music is really good. It might not be, her most iconic project, but I think the music is really good, and it deserved to be in that spot. But, well, to be in that category. But I don't know. Sometimes the Grammys are just on something else. Well, thank you so much for watching today. I am Sarah, and this is Sarah's Rhythm. And as always, have a great day.